everybody. Welcome to... Did I get the sound working? Yes. Yeah. Welcome to In Production. Today we have some very special guests in the studio live with us. This will be forever commemorized.
You know, you look kind of like Han Solo.
I look like Han Solo. I'm Han Solo, and this is my Wookiee.
I'm not the Wookiee. Look, if anybody in here is a Wookiee.
I mean, the beard is the Wookiee. So,
I'm Princess Leia, damn it.
Oh, you're Mary Poppins, y'all? You won't know that because you haven't seen the movie yet.
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers.
No spoilers in the live chat. We will not talk about The Last Jedi on this show. If you'd like to know our opinion on The Last Jedi, check out the video we posted where I got drunk and went on a rant. Normal stuff here at Craft Show. That's how we do it. So, today in the studio, what's so amazing about this is we have a unified front of amazing talent. Jeff and Drew are here. Thank you. Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry. So we have two of our very, very closest Craft Show family members. We have, of course, I'm going to say Horst. We have, of course, Jeremy Sande, who you know from great movies like Deepwater Horizon, but more importantly from our favorite show, Heirloom. It is by far
Scotty Robinson.
2017's greatest. Scotty Robinson has joined us live. Scotty Robinson in the chat room, always a pleasure. So we have Jeremy Sande. He's live streaming on Instagram. You can follow Jeremy at
Jeremy_Sande. Real simple.
Jeremy_Sande. If you want to see another perspective, you can switch between cameras in your own spare time.
Yeah. J-Cam.
Yeah, the J-Cam. And someone who I have referenced multiple times and probably have told stories that you'll figure out if you go back and watch past episodes and will get me in trouble. Ladies and gentlemen, from Frame 29 Films, our sister company, world-renowned, pickle pants wearing...
Yes, pickle pants definitely.
Horst Sarubin. All the way from Los Angeles, California, spelled like you spell it, horse and add a T. Horst.
That's how I do it.
Why do people call you Horst?
It's easier? I don't know. Because they go with forest at first.
I don't know why I'm yelling, by the way. We have a boom mic.
He's always loud.
This is always how it goes. So, how's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. Thanks for being on the show. You look so awkward.
I'm just like I'm amazed at what's going on because this is how you act when you're drunk at a bar, right? And normally there'll be like a whole bunch of people over there.
Exactly.
But now it's just a camera.
Yeah.
So it's like hanging out with you at the bar, and then you have your crowd there, but there's no crowd. It's just a very static, angry-looking Cyclops who's looking at me.
The truth of the matter is, next to Jeff, I've known Horst the next longest, and Jeremy being the baby of the family.
The baby.
Yeah. How's it make you feel to be the babes?
Hi, baby.
I mean...
You're actually the baby in the room, by the way, on top of it.
Yeah.
I am the baby in the room?
Oh, yeah. By far.
Yeah.
At least I'm 21.
But do you know who the oldest is?
Ooh, you.
Yeah, Jeff's 50.
Are you... Wow, that bus got thrown right under. Are you the oldest?
Well, somehow that happened.
Is it you?
Yep.
Horst, and then Drew.
Horst,
and then you.
And then me.
21.
Yep, 21.
Scott Robinson is here.
Oh, God.
Welcome to the corner.
Call me.
Yeah, I say that every week. I say it every week, and I never get a call. I get threatened for a call.
No, you'll get a call when you're like, awkwardly doing something.
It's usually when I'm pooping.
Yeah.
Actually, Jeremy calls... Almost every time Jeremy Sande calls me, I'm taking a crunch.
He still hasn't found my camera.
And I finally just send him a text. I'm like, guess what? And he's like,
pooping.
And he just sends me the poop emoji.
Nice.
True story.
But, I mean, that's when, I don't know about you, but that's when my best ideas come to me.
Yeah.
I think it's something about the straining of all the blood.
Actually, it's an endorphin release when all those bombs drop without gravity.
Bombs over.
Whoops.
What?
Was that a...
No.
Was that...
It was nothing.
Never call you. You owe me an email.
Do
we need to hand off the story stick?
The story stick.
What? Why are we doing story stick?
I don't know.
Wait. Did you say Scott said I owe him an email?
Yeah, that's what he said.
No. I emailed you. I emailed you, you son of a... Wait, is this
Just no F-bombs.
No F-bombs,
yeah.
Okay. You
Only
son
Drew's
of a bitch.
allowed to do that.
Yeah.
I emailed you and asked you, and you didn't email me back, so I'm not... No.
Look at my camera operator.
No,
Friendship's over. That's how we do it on Craft Show. We end friendships. This is like Jerry Springer right now. I'm waiting for Horst to throw a chair at me and break my nose. Here it comes. All right, so today on the show, we've got a lot of great things to talk about. These guys have stuff that's happened in their lives. It's fun to discuss and just catch up, and you don't know them, but you should because they're family members. This is like sitting at the table with your two weird uncles. and at Christmas dinner, or whatever dinner you might celebrate in this time of year of holiday seasons. We also have... Are you just marking my God. We also have the case for 48, in which we're going to go through and talk about... when we talk about 48 frames per second, why we think it's the best, and that video will drop at some point today. I forgot to upload it, so whatever. I got excited. My pals were in town.
Oh, wait.
I like
We're actually going to talk about work stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
I thought you just get drunk.
Well, you have an interest. You have an interesting thing
I'm not
on 48.
staying.
I didn't think about your case with 48. It's totally different, which I think we'll bring up in a moment. It's a great segue. We'll go back to it. I'm going to use that as a segue. Make a note. Jeremy,
Make a
got
note.
it? Got
Bring
it.
it back.
And then we also have the year of you.
Do you slow down or do you get
No,
faster?
I get faster.
When he drinks, it gets faster and faster.
So the
It
year
just
of you.
slurs a little bit.
And
so nobody
lastly,
knows what he's saying.
we want to talk about the 2018 trends. I think all of us work in the industry. I think there's some very insightable insight that can be drafted out of the idea of what are going to be the 2018 trends, what we think is going to be popular, what's going to work.
Good.
Yeah, that's one. That's phase one. So these guys have already cracked their beer. They're drinking I'm with Judge Roy Bean.
Boom.
Judge Roy Bean.
Right there. I'm with
Boom.
Roy. That's what we gave them. Judge Roy Beans, Fair Hope Brewery,
No comment.
delicious beer.
Yeah.
Me and Jeff are about to crack. This is why we didn't give it to you guys. First, this is rare and you don't deserve it. And secondly,
13%.
it's 13%.
Go F yourself.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
He's going to be a speed freak.
It's about to go
Oh,
down.
yes.
So this is from Evil Twin and Prairie, two of our favorite
stroke
breweries on the
that, Jeff?
planet. Yeah, he petted it. You gotta.
Constructed.
I was taking the water off of it.
So here we are with the Evil Twin. So that you guys know.
Later. That's good.
By the way,
Yeah.
maybe you can hear the toilet flushing next door.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plane taking off. We've talked
Drew's
about
about to
before.
blow ahead, guys. Yes, he is.
Wrong. Can you
Yeah, the
actually
poop
see
goes
the
up.
pipe through the hole in the ceiling?
Yeah, you can see it. It's right
Oh
up
my
there.
God.
Oh, the red.
crap.
Don't you remember
Red
after
line
Disney,
and the
this
blue
all
line.
got soaked?
After
After I went to Disney World and I came back, all of those, and that's where we lost Nigel and Oscar. Speaking of which,
hey,
just would like to share out a film that we made that his wife is in, that we worked on for Frame 29, Jeff worked on with Frame 29, Scott Robinson helped produce, is now available. Scott, did you even know it was out? I didn't. But it's out. And you can find it on Google Play, iTunes, and Amazon Live, streaming Prime gimmick. It's now called Sask-Watch. Sask-Watch.
S-A-S-Q.
Sask-Q Watch?
Sask-Q Watch.
Yep.
S-A-S-Q-Watch.
Yep.
Is why?
It's a reference in the film.
Oh, okay.
But it's such a small reference that it's kind of like naming Star Wars, it'd be like naming Star Wars Tiberium gas. Like, you really need to be deep into it.
Either.
That is not spoiler. That's
not
OT,
spoiler.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's
original
old
trilogy.
When I think Tiberium, I think back of Command and Conquer. Does anybody play that game?
Oh,
back
yeah.
in the
Yeah, I
day?
played Command and
back in
Conquer,
the day.
sure.
Wasn't
That's a
that
classic.
the,
Also
wasn't
could
that
be
the green
Tiberius.
ore that they were... Wasn't that the name of it?
I think it was Tiberium.
Yeah.
Tiberius is
That's Captain Kirk.
exactly.
So it could be a number of those.
We fall off
Our nerds.
If you
the
have
wayside,
if you have a dictionary.
as always. Sailing Rewind says, so glad I joined in. Oof. All right, Sailing, good to have you. Hope you're enjoying your time in wherever you are.
I'm old.
Remember.
What does oof mean?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't know
what does oof mean?
Yeah.
What-
Did you just say
I got the mic.
Did you just
You have to understand, I am not used to looking at the camera. I'm used to being explicitly told, don't look at the camera.
I am actually...
People need salads.
Yes!
Brewery. It's called...
It's unbelievable that just happened.
I did look at it.
You know what? Here's a term that I did not know that I learned. Do you guys know what a Mary Sue is? I thought it was an offensive term.
I have no clue.
Isn't
What is a
that
Mary?
a-
What?
Is that like a Cleveland steamroller?
Yeah, I thought that was the same thing.
Oh.
It is not. Apparently, a Mary Sue is a character term. You and I should know this as writers, apparently. A Mary
you all
Sue is
should.
a flawless character. So in some might argue that
Oh, yeah.
James Bond is a Mary Sue because James Bond can do anything without conflict. Like, he just overcomes. He has
Yeah.
and then Steven Seagal in all of Steven Seagal's films is a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
I said it.
I'm
Right
just
here.
saying-
Breaking news.
No.
everybody.
I'm going to say Steven Seagal is not a Mary Sue, but his characters might be. There's definitely, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, fine.
definitely.
Every one of Steven Seagal. The Predator as a character is a Mary Sue. The Predator has no flaws.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That would be a big flaw.
That's a huge
That
flaw.
is a flaw.
Yeah.
He does.
I don't think so.
That's
Yeah,
a big
yeah,
flaw.
yeah.
Not too much.
I'm with him.
Yeah,
No,
that's a
the
big flaw.
Predator could solve any problem.
Watches would be a Predator's. Get it? No.
Is that a Predator 2 reference?
No, it would blow up. You know.
It's self-destruct.
Oh, I thought it was like a Predator 2 reference, which
Or
I
is
would have
that
given you more
the
credit
No, but that
for.
was an iWatch reference back in the day.
It wasn't.
Wow.
Felt felt so bad.
You can self-destruct.
For Christmas last year, my parents gave me an
It's in the new iOS update.
what?
Is it?
Self-destruct, yeah.
No, it is.
I mean, hey, bro.
Just electrocute you through.
Oh, it just becomes a Samsung. Hey, I'm a Samsung owner. Wherever my phone
Beer
is.
Shameless plugs.
Mary
You
said
got
from
your
Impact.
printer.
My printer here.
Okay.
Do you have a printer?
I still have not put ink in it. That you bought me. Horst bought me this printer.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah, but I never put ink in it.
You're just.
I did buy some ink from a company that gave me a pound of M&Ms.
Yeah.
That was their sales point.
And we ate them pretty quick.
They gave you a pound of it.
Yeah.
It was the dumbest thing I've ever done. Like, it was a sales call, but it worked. So good for them. So pro tip, ladies and gentlemen, if you're selling content,
Yeah.
serve it with a pound of M&Ms. Peanut, preferably.
Our
In case they have
audio
Noted.
apparently is
Duly noted.
kind of wonky.
What's up with the audio? It looks good
So
on
the
this
audio
side.
left is kind of funky.
Oh, that's because it's not doing a mix channel.
Oh, I got you.
So it's left and right. You can go turn
I
up that.
can go
Did
turn
you hit
up the-
record on that camera?
Yeah, the camera's on. It's recording.
As normal.
Somebody.
Normal show here. Normal show.
Kabam, that should have fixed it.
Maybe that fixed it.
Should have fixed it.
Scott, you need to email me. Sorry, just, going back to it.
Scott's not
The
here.
beard is a Mary Sue. Actually, Jeff's beard is a Mary Sue. It can do
Yes.
anything it
My
wants.
beard
Yes,
is.
That's
absolutely.
absolutely
Not me,
fact.
though. Just the beard.
So one of the things we want to kind of do is talk about a little bit about you guys, what you might have experienced this year. I don't go that order up there means
Yeah, that
nothing.
means nothing.
What you guys might have experienced this
Remember
year.
what we talked about? Look at the first name.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you guys might have had some exciting stuff, but one of the things we've referenced about you in the past, and it certainly is relevant to this channel, a lot of users of this channel have various cameras, for everything from GoPro. Some of them are like, lesser extent. I don't think we have any Alexa owners necessarily on this channel.
Don't short sell your audience.
They might, but we talk about it right enough. So if you guys remember a while back, I was talking about Fast 8, and I had a very dear friend and business partner that worked on Fast 8. That would have been this guy. So one of the things that I just wanted him to confess to you was the amount of multiple
I am the
cameras.
Rock. Sorry. Lots of makeup and CG. It's true.
Is that there were a variety of cameras used? Can you talk? Can you just talk about it? Because they
yeah.
did VFX on crazy stuff.
Yeah.
While you do that, I'm going to fix this out. I don't know how to do it. Go ahead.
Is the sound not fixed yet?
So variety of cameras. So I worked
Should be
on
fixed.
visual effects on the throughout the whole show. My focus during filming was on the stunt unit, so all the things blowing up, all the action, and we would run 20 cameras, sometimes 25 cameras at once, as you expect with stunts and all that. And we ran every kind of camera that we could find. We ran, of course, Alexas. We ran Reds. We ran the Canon. Is it
5D Mark something?
No, it was the small film camera.
Oh, C100.
C100s. We ran
C100s, which are not 2K or 4K.
Black Magic Micro. Yeah.
Which is 1080.
And we did those as usually like the crash cams, so
Right.
disposable cameras that would get blown up. And what ended up happening, which annoyed everybody, well, in the VFX department annoyed everybody, we shot a whole bunch of GoPro footage that wasn't meant to be like main footage in the film. Wasn't meant to be your production footage. It was meant to be things that we would comp into screens. So we'd set up GoPros to film the action as if it was a security camera, say, and it was meant to comp into screens. But if an editor or director sees footage and they think it's a cool angle, they'll tell you to put it in. So there'll be GoPro footage in big movies, and then
But
you have to
that
VFX.
That's what I was going to say. So the GoPro, when you have that and you have the lens warping and all that, I mean, that's a
Oh
nightmare.
god, yeah. We shot lens grids on. Oh god, probably 200 lenses. So we had to shoot lens grids for everything, every GoPro, every different lens for our Black Magics, all of it. So I mean, it's big movies. This is the thing that shocked me when I got into it. When I did when you and I were doing our own movies long ago, The Galaxy Far Away, our own short films, it was like this crazy, you just get it done and you do whatever you can to get it done, and it's a madhouse. And surely when people are doing this professionally, it's all organized and everybody knows what they're doing and everything's super professional and you only do the best things. That's BS. It's
You can say shittle.
shittle.
Yeah, you can say shittle.
Shittle's okay.
Okay, bullshittle. It's just like a short film, except it's a lot more expensive. It is get it done. You know, it's like you want to, you know, you do whatever you can to get it done. The crazy, stupid things you think would never happen on a big film are happening all the time because it, you know, it's all those people that have a passion for making movies. They're still the same people, but you know, be it people at home shooting your short films and doing little G.I. Joe movies, to people blowing up cars on a $200 million movie.
Yeah, it all kind of comes around the same.
That's the thing that shocked me. It's just a bigger scale.
Yeah, you just seem to have more prep at the beginning on larger stuff. Monetarily, fine. Most camera departments I've been in haven't had any prep either. But.
Yeah, I mean, you do and you don't. I mean, it's.
It never goes as prep says.
It's a scale, right? Yeah. It's an economy of scale.
Exactly.
You have half a day of prep on your short film. You have a week of prep on the multi-million-dollar movie.
And that half a day.
You go shorter.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
That has a growing agent in it for you.
I'm getting bigger, actually.
Yeah, but see, you're over 40, so you're getting bigger. I'm under, so
I'm messed up.
I'm so. It's actually this cool chair that.
Are you getting ready to kick us off?
What is he doing?
I'm always fiddling and doing stuff.
Yeah,
is that always the theme?
No, I mean, it's just I always have to
does.
fix things because I break them constantly. That's just kind of my MO. Is I stuff.
I felt weird saying things. Are we done saying? Am I? Do I say anything else?
That was good. That was just a question
keep
for
talking.
Is that?
No, that's fine.
That's
no. Normally, just ramble on.
Speaking of drinking alcohol.
Oh. There we go.
Yep.
Now the game gets
You're not allowed to see.
Yeah, it's business now. It's business as we go.
Talking about hockey and HLG on there and
talking about Dana McBride and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the FX guy.
Hit me back.
So Germs, in your space.
Yeah. This space.
This your year.
Yep.
Obviously, heirloom is the most important thing that's ever happened to you.
Yeah, you're not wrong with that. Yes.
In the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's one thing in the world.
In the world.
Period.
In the world.
Pretty epic.
Yep.
Right. But you had a pretty crazy year. You got hitched.
I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you got hit.
Yeah, that
totally happened.
Yeah, you got
totally
married.
happened. Yeah.
You forget
got
for a
married.
second?
I got married. Do I?
So did you forget for a second?
No, not at all. Not at all. Every
make sure you talk to the microphone.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I love
That's
you
where they can
deeply, Sherry Eakin.
That's where they can actually see you. What else happened? Can you talk about kind of the interesting? Can you talk about kind of? Can you talk about? You don't have to go into the number, but maybe some Deepwater, any of that?
Yeah, no, I learned, I got a chance a few years ago to like rock with the pros, Pete Berg, John Malkovich, Dylan O'Brien, just the list goes on, Kurt Russell. And it was cool to, like Horst said, it's like I've been on sets where we literally had no prep time and we just walk in and we're expected to do something. And then I got to walk on a set where that set got built, I think it was like 9 months prior to us even being there, and Pete put us on an oil rig. It wasn't just, a set that looked like it. No, it was an actual oil rig that they built out at the old Six Flags in New Orleans, and it wasn't even acting. Like, he literally just put me on this rig and blew some mud up, and it was like, you're getting dirty, and it's long, hard hours, but that was the most fun that I ever had. And so then 2 years later, or a year and a half later, the movie came out, and everybody, we get to go watch it, and it's a great film. It's a tearjerker. But I was unaware of how well those do down the road. I'd never been a part of a big blockbuster, and so, like, that is what we call that hot air, that now it lets me coast around, and I get to go and play with you guys and do heirloom, and I get to make my own content now, and it's... Now you get in this groove where it's like, oh, I've actually climbed up to the next tier, to where it's not freebies staying in Motel 8s. Not that I'm against those. I love, like, cramming in the back of a van with a bunch of camera equipment.
He did it, folded in half. He rode all the way up, seriously, like this. He rode
all the way
for 7 hours like this.
Don't ever say that I won't do whatever.
And then lost his wallet. What happened today on your way over here?
Forgot my wallet in Ocean Springs.
Did you really?
He lost it the first. He lost.
It's something with this place.
It is.
I just can't.
Oh no, there's just something with this place.
It is
You already
this
figured.
place.
You already.
Have you ever
back?
seen Lost?
No, I know.
This is like the bunker where somewhere
I
there's
was gonna
some
say,
there's
I'm
some
not-
little
you just need
guy,
to go to
probably with the last
somebody
name
to
Hall,
know.
somewhere typing in a code to stop the world from ending.
I'm telling you, man, mud brick, it's like that. Last time I came here, you had foliage in the back. Now I come, it's a parking lot.
Well, it's a movie theater.
You never know
So we have a full movie theater in the building now. 2 screens, Dolby Atmos, 4K projection. It's super amazing.
Killer stuff.
It's just a whole different world. My butt is vibrating like crazy. I must have blown up the internet.
Yeah,
That's what I normally do when I put on the air.
It happens.
Yeah, so that's good. So you guys had progress this year.
Absolutely.
You did something. I mean, I know you shot that last year, but it came out this year.
Yeah,
so and I know you worked all the way through until that point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, it was a long, like, that was a really tough slog for me because started in 2016 in February, and we normally only do production, right? I mean, I've done post-production in other roles, but in this film they pulled me on to post-production as well. So I did a year and a quarter, a year and a half of work straight, which is pretty unusual. And then post-production was gnarly. I think the last 65 days straight. So I had no days off for 65 days, all 14 to 18 hour days.
Brutal.
And so then, God, I just needed time off after that. And then I came back, and using those contacts, I started working some other shows and, working on other technical things. I wanted to, I mean, I like to do the creative stuff as well. That's what Drew and I have the Frame 29 for, but I've always been most successful at the technical work, which is why I'm in VFX, I guess. And I don't know, sort of a passion of mine, which has been good for the industry and sort of getting me work now, is, it's a very cool time to be alive in film. It's also scary, or in filmmaking, I'll say, because we have switched, from when I worked on Hobbit, when we started filming in 2009, about 85% of movies were shot on film still at that point, analog emulsion film. When we finished 2012, it had shifted, and it was about 85 were shot digitally. Red, Arri Alexa, and now I think it's gone up to 90, 95%. There's, very few holdovers on film. And the thing for people who, maybe are on this side of it, for years and years, like, never going to go to digital. We'll never go to digital. We're never going to go to digital. And then, the course of 3 or 4 years, just boom, it went on its head. And what that's done, and what I see, and the nerd side of me and the kind of like pedantic side of me has a passion for, is filling that gap. Because we've had 100 years of shooting film emulsion film, and we know how to do it. We have the process. We do this, and then we do this, and we do this, and we call it this, and we call it that, and that's why we do this. And now it's like the Wild West, right? Now we're shooting it on digital, and all these things that you don't think about are happening. One of the big things you'll see now is you just keep shooting, rolling resets, or what a lot of people call it, where, you do a take, and then you go, oh, let's do another one, let's do another one. Don't reset, don't stop the camera, do another one. And believe it or not, that has a knock-on effect to everything else. It has a knock-on effect for your on-set crew, has a knock-on effect,
But holding that thought, how does that affect an actor? If I give you a rolling reset, is it good or bad? So I think there's a pro and a con. So I can't adjust you, or I adjust you while we're rolling, but it's still the idea, just stay in and keep going, Jeremy. Is that good? Do you need that break? Because I'm with you.
Like I said, knock-on effect. It's good and bad.
I mean, it depends on the moment. Like, prime example, when I found this bad boy, that couldn't have been a rolling reset. I would have had to go back, get back to base level, and then experience it. If it's literally a 1, 2, 3 punch reset, 1, 2, 3 punch, something that the rhythm gets into play, it helps me. But it's like, it could be one of two sides. God, that thing's heavy.
Yeah, it is. Super heavy.
And so, hopefully, quickly get to a point. What I'm looking at.
That's all we do. They're used to me talking.
So
I think they're really going to believe we're brothers now.
Okay, good. Thank you. You said take my time.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you were going to fart.
No. I was let the toilet do that. No, there's a change in the way production's going, and there's all the standards we had with film. There isn't a set of standards now, right? There isn't everybody does this, right? And while every film is different, everybody is something a different way. Since we're missing a common language, since we're missing a common pipeline, it's like the Wild West. And valuable things. We're living in a world where data is more valuable than anything. You look at the most valuable companies in the world right now, they're data companies. So somebody that has lots of data is more valuable than somebody that has assets. And you generate so much data on a set, and film studios aren't used to like hoarding that data. They're used to just putting out. But you look now, who are the big companies coming in to take over, this production market? You have Netflix, you've got Amazon, Apple is coming in now. They're all data companies.
Right.
Yep.
And they understand that value. And one of the things that I see, you see some companies doing it, but is starting to try to organize, standardize this pipeline that we now have, this digital pipeline. And like I said, nothing will ever be exactly the same for everybody, but we, working towards some set of standards is something that I'm like, we need to do this, people.
Yeah.
We need to figure this out.
Definitely.
And I've been lucky because I've seen the transition. I see this opportunity, and I'm sort of, knocking on doors saying, let's do something about this, and it's gotten me some work. So that's
but that's the thing, is like we've seen the shift go from even this year with something like the GH5 that came out this year at the beginning of the year. It's gotten a bunch of best camera awards for what it is in its class, right? It's like all the car things. There's an award for everything.
Yeah.
There's an award right now for this being the best live stream ever, even if it's just the Baby Seal Troll Force Awards. No! It is absolutely
That's
fact.
our button.
Is that
Yeah, that's the Baby Seal Troll Force button. If you object to anything said, you guys can hit this button. I'm not going to put it close to you because I know you well enough. You're just going to constantly push it. Much like your brother. That's what you guys do. I still get harassed. I get cyberbullied by your brother on the internet, by the way. He's like my older brother.
It's only bullying if you don't deserve it. And you deserve it.
But the technology has jumped so fast that like that little camera shot a 6K anamorphic that you can actually stretch out adequately, technically, into 8K. And you can deliver now all eye, which from a VFX standpoint, you'd be thrilled. Non-anamorphic, I'd give you flat, because I've learned my lesson about anamorphic VFX.
Don't do it. Boys and girls, don't.
If you really want to piss VFX guys off,
don't do it.
Horst is our connection to Alex Funky, and you all know we've talked about Alex several times on the show. I begged Alex to shoot the project me and Horst directed, Ether, in anamorphic, and both of them, before I could even get the thick out, they were already like, no! And they cut it off and explained why.
If you're shooting all practical, sure, it's great. Make it look good. I understand the aesthetic value of it. If you're shooting all green screen, where every single thing in there except for the face, which is like 5% of the screen, is why are you shooting and making? No, don't do it. Don't do it.
But it's fascinating because technology has surged even more this year than it has. We have more cameras coming out that are doing less.
And that speaks to my point.
For cheaper.
Just
or less, right.
Yeah.
But people obsess over the technology, and they don't work on all the other things around it. But it's always been like that.
Right.
You look at the history of film and technology. We start to get everything down. So let's go to sound, right? So if before sound came out, it was great. You watch all those pre-sound things. They're out in the world. They're shooting cool things. You see people on the side of the tower and they're falling off.
And they're really falling off.
And they're really in front of a train and all this crazy
That's how
stuff.
actors should be treated, by the way. Oh, hi, Jeremy.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, Jeremy.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
That was very Roy.
But then sound came out and it's like, oh my God, we've got to put it in a sound stage. We've got to blimp the camera, and everybody's got to be quiet. The director can't talk, and oh my God, all this stuff. And it takes years to catch up. Maybe not 10 years, but a few years to catch up the process and the craft of filmmaking to the technology. And it's always an ebb and a flow, and it happens every time you have major leaps in the technology. But it's, you look right now and there's this obsession with, is it 8K, is it 10K? I've got the new red 25K, it shoots me in the forehead camera. It's like, that's great.
It shoots me in the forehead camera.
Well,
yeah, that sounds good, okay.
We already said a word that's just...
Weapon.
Yeah.
Can we drop it after you?
Another one? No.
What?
Said shoot.
Oh, yeah.
That's
did
no
I?
one.
Sorry,
YouTube actually, when they hear the word shoot, they demonetize our videos.
Oh.
Because they think we're talking about...
No beer for us
yeah,
later.
it's true.
Wow.
How much?
Wow.
Oh, YouTube? I need half a cent.
Hey,
good.
Hey, YouTube.
No.
There you go.
That was a good one, too.
Here you go. Here's a receipt.
Here's a receipt. That's worth more than the YouTube residual we get anyway.
I think that I get what Horst is saying in the sense is I've been an actor where I know a little bit more from production side than your most of your actors, and that's not. I don't think I'm speaking out. It's just I understand how lighting and sound and everything comes into play. So I've been the actor for the filmmaker that had the latest and the greatest camera, but didn't understand a basic two-shot.
Yeah.
Where I'm sitting here having to take direction from a guy, and I'm like, that there's an easier way for you to get this look that you're wanting to get, even though you have the nicest camera that money can buy. And so I see what you're saying is how the brain and the technology and the art have to meet together, or it's not
I mean, it's
the
about
best.
telling stories.
Right.
You know, and we have to work together about telling a story and finding an emotional connection to the audience.
Right.
And
See how
But we
that
need. So here's the balance.
Simple.
The balance is you have to have the technicians that are driven enough to understand how to do it on the.
Yeah.
the left brains.
But if they get so connected to nothing but the technology, they miss the story in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I found very interesting about the kind of still going DSLR revolution, where like there's allegedly a new version of that camera coming out. Right.
Yeah.
GH5S. Like
Yeah.
they just released one. They're gonna put that's gonna back off the stills element and make it more of a video camera. It's still that body, but
Yeah.
they literally are gonna make it more of a video camera. And now I saw a rumor that has something about time code involved. So like,
Oh, yeah.
if they're doing that, they're suddenly taking these to a level that's very different, which
Yeah.
should empower filmmakers to tell more stories.
Yeah.
But don't get stuck on
It's-
the tech.
it's a tool.
It's the same thing as the Netflix article that came up again in a post. I don't know how many times I got to say it. We have multiple films, multiple projects I've touched that are on Netflix, some of them which you and I made. And they did not care how we filmed it as long they bought the movie. They didn't buy the
Yeah.
technology behind the movie.
Yeah.
They bought the movie. All those articles that exist
Yeah.
are pipeline articles. It's the same thing I'm sure Universal has. If I sign a contract with Universal to deliver a film, which we've done with Get Out, but delivering a film to them, it had specifications of the amount of equipment and the kind of equipment we are allowed to rent and use to the filmmakers. That's what we had to provide. That's how it works. And it goes in line with the acting side. The actors don't give a crap one way or the other. There's no shittle involved in whether that can. But there is a little bit of a window. If you do know they're shooting digital, you might push for another take right away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you have the power to do so. Be like, hey, can I stay in it just one more piece? And if you have a really attentive director, then they typically will do it.
Absolutely.
And if there's a, I've seen it.
And that
unfold
was,
way.
but that as from an acting standpoint, that's the thing that's troublesome for us is that now we go away from the Humphrey Bogarts and the Lauren Bacalls, that the reason they got paid the big bucks is because film was expensive and you
And they
couldn't
could
get
deliver.
take,
Good
yeah, they
point.
could deliver on when
Wow,
they go.
great point.
And so now we're getting these actors that it's like I've seen, and I won't drop names, A-list actors that took 8, 9, 10, 4 hours, however long to get the shot, and it's like I'm sitting back here going, man, if this was shooting on film, this thing would be over budget in one day.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we've
but
heard
it's because
stories.
we're on. But that's what I'm saying. Because you're on digital, you go,
Yeah.
let's do it again.
Yeah.
And so, from an actor perspective, now the actors and actresses that want to give that all,
Right.
we're getting overshadowed for the simple fact that you can hit erase and you can edit and make so and so look like an Oscar-winning performance.
Yeah, and that goes on to what I was saying about a knock-on effect. I think one of the things that I see being lost is crafting a scene, right? Whereas, you can argue the moment of creation, editing back and adding effects, but I would argue most people, that moment of creation, the moment of no turning back, was when you exposed photons to emulsion, right? And you can rearrange and all that. And now that's not the moment of creation anymore. The moment of creation is a lot later.
Yep.
But because of that, there's this idea of I'm going to craft the scene. Okay, we're going to rehearse and we're going to rehearse. We're going to talk about your character. Jeff, we need to talk about the cameras and the lenses. Set up the shot. Director, okay, how are we going to do this? And then we rehearse it. And we look at it. We don't like it. And then there's a cable on the floor. We're going to fix this cable. And the acting isn't quite right. What do we need to do to find it? And we rehearse and we do it again. And we do it again. And then we film, right? And even on low budget shows, you did this. Sometimes you get what you get. But you craft the scene and then you shoot it. And more, it's sort of like you're getting a menu of things. Let's do, and it's not this simple, but let's do one. Okay, this time, Jeremy, do one happy. Now, just in case I change my mind, do one sad. Right? And so that way, when I get in the editing booth, I can go, oh, I like the happy one better.
Yeah.
And I know it's an oversimplification, and it isn't quite.
It leads into something very interesting. So I'm going to jump and say, if there are 2018 trends, we'll just jump in. We've already started it, but it's something I picked up on. I believe, watching the films of 2017, there is a fundamental shift happening in film language. I don't care what anyone says. Part of it is this dadgum thing we're on right now called YouTube. YouTube has changed the way a lot of people consume media or accept the consumption or presentation of media. We allow jump cuts. We allow it. I do it all the time.
I like them.
Yeah.
And some people enjoy it. It gives them a beat. It gives them a moment. We allow jump cuts in that space. However, I don't allow those in my films unless it's with purpose and design. But it's becoming more and more popular to see those in modern media. I see it very heavily in the bigger movies. The Marvel franchises, great movies, fine for what they are. They allow these jump cuts, and there could be just a jump cut doesn't always have to be an edit point. It can also be a story cut. And you and I have talked about it's a logic
breaking the fourth wall. That's something that
that's
has,
totally
like
huge.
this past year, Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool, Mr. What's his name on House of Cards.
Yep, absolutely.
And that
stuff is back in.
theater.
So what I'm seeing in 2018 is a major shift in film language. What I think we're going to see is less construction of thorough narrative as much as it is a series of cool beats. And there's nothing wrong with it. I don't personally enjoy it, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
So what movies have become now is a beat sheet. So they prep a beat sheet. It's moment here, moment here, moment here, moment here. So what we're going to see on one end is that trend to continue on the upper scale is what I believe we'll see. Is these moments, cool moments. Most people don't talk about the full narrative of a movie anymore. They talk about the cool moments in between. When they did this, when they did this, when they did this. But the gap between those is what's really important to me as a writer and as a director. And for actors, I want to do those. So here's what I see happening. The bigger tentpole movies, they're going to make more money. The actors will make more money. But your career, your craft is being diminished because no one cares about this anymore. The gap between those cool moments, those story beats, is diminished in the big movies. What I do think we're going to see in 2018, and this is my straight up prediction, that's the point of this piece, the trend of 2018, indie films come back. And what I mean is, now that Harvey Weinstein's gone, now that SOB's out of office, that opens up a whole new world. Indie film has to go back to being indie film. It can't just be an aesthetic or a trend anymore. It has to be a real thing. So Miramax was secretly funding all these projects and being behind them, right? I sound like a tinfoil hat guy, but it's true. So now what happens is, if you're an indie guy or gal, you have to still do it. That means you need to find actors, whether they're names or not, doesn't matter anymore. You need performance, you need crafted scenes, and you need a good damn story. I think that's the biggest takeaway I see in 2018, and technology I think is going to enable that with smaller cameras, which allows a little less exposure to space in terms of the camera's not as much in your space, it's less out of your eye line. I think a smaller camera's great for that.
It's the prime thing, like we talked about, being a child watching Raiders.
Right.
Like that was that for him, for me, that was the moment that I'm like, yep, that's what I want to do. And I didn't mean being an archaeologist. I wanted to be a movie star. Yeah. Well, no. I tried that. It didn't work. But that scene, if you took that scene of Harrison Ford with the trying to figure out how much it, and you did it by today's standards, he would go, so how much does this weigh? I think that it weighs such and such because I blah 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 blah. Where was the thought process?
And as soon as he pulls it, there'd be an explosion.
Exactly, exactly. There is no time, there is no build-up, there is no foreplay.
Right.
And that's what I feel like I think that indie film is where your foreplay is, and I think that that's what's coming back into the light.
Yeah,
and you're in an interesting side because you're in the studio side, and I'm not. I'm not doing that to vilify you. You're in a space that none of us are currently in.
But even the studio's totally changing. I mean, everything right now. I mean, it's always changing. But there's a fundamental shift happening right now. I mean, Netflix is doing $8 billion of content creation next year with a B.
Right.
Can I get some of that?
Yeah, please. Hi.
Just a little.
Netflix.
Hey, we would like to take CRFTSHO to the big screen with Netflix.
And Frank 29.
And there's an interesting. I think there's an interesting, like, shift, because part of the reason why you have exactly what you're saying, Drew, in the.
I'm listening. I just like to look at the comments to see if we're
okay.
Part of what you're seeing is how we consume content. That's what's driving this short beat thing. Because if you think about the films that we love, we saw them in a movie theater, right?
Yeah.
Where our entire view is filled up by the image,
yeah.
and everything else is dark, and you tell the person next to you to shut the heck up.
Yep.
Yeah. See, I didn't say the F-bomb.
Yeah, that's cool.
You tell them, there was a thing, right? And that's the focus, and you were there, and you're focusing on that. Whereas now, it's like what you have to compete with. You watch, content here, and I see Jeff's beard, and it's so glorious, it distracts me.
Exactly.
And
it always does.
And because of that, that's literally what's driving this move towards.
Oh, definitely.
Pay attention to me.
Yeah.
Pay attention to me now.
Absolutely.
And because they're not just doing it; they're doing it.
No, I know that. I totally agree. And it goes to the same thing of in the movie theater. I watched a number of people in a certain movie I just saw. They were sitting like this, and there'd be an explosion. They'd look up, and I was so bored. I turned to my wife and was like, "I'm just going to track it," and I did. Every 3.2 minutes, because I did the math on it. Every 3.2 minutes, there was an explosion or a moment that was louder than another to get people from their phone back to look at the dadgum screen.
Yeah, I mean,
I get it.
That's when he wasn't texting him. So
yeah,
I did send a few texts
to yourself.
Shame
to me.
Well,
I was in the movie also.
But the reverse of that, I'd say, is binge watching on things such as Netflix. Can we have some money on Netflix? Because
Actually, anytime you say Netflix, can we have some money? You have to follow it up with, can we have some money? So
okay, good. Netflix, can we have some money?
Yeah.
Can we have some money?
So, but it's the reverse. You think about binge watching now. People will watch
an entire season.
Right? And
all the time.
But I found myself doing this. I'm like, God, I don't really want to watch a movie, but I'll watch 3 episodes of a TV show.
right.
And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why am I doing this?
That's the greatest thing I've heard forever. It makes total sense.
I put myself in a depression, like watching Sons of Anarchy over a course of 3 weeks. Like
that's rough, bro.
That's
a raw story to go down.
We found us a couple of nights like pouring a double shot of whiskey to like, Tara.
Well, but see, I'll finish up the idea. That goes to your point. I think independent film, but I also think things like Netflix, right? And because if you
great. Let's change. Let's make the adjustment. Let's make an adjustment to indie film to be Let's make it over there.
Are we role reversal?
Yeah, we're
making an adjustment. So instead of it being indie film, I will now say emerging content.
Ooh, fancy.
Which I think is a way to capitalize on Netflix. Please give us some money, and any of the other stuff like Amazon.
Amazon.
But
I couldn't get it out fast.
The thing that's confusing.
Sasquatch now available.
The thing that's confusing now, not that because you guys swap seats, because that's also confusing. But I have to. Is you have indie and then you have studio. Well, now studio is getting confusing in the sense of who owns who. It's Disney just bought Fox, but Fox is this, and Apple and here, and the blah 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 blah. And it's one of those things is like Marines. If you look on your paycheck, it says the Navy. It's like, so who actually owns who now?
Right.
And I'm getting to the point where if you wrote a comic book movie, it's like I don't even know what studio I need to pitch it to.
Yeah. Right.
Like Universal. Oh no, that's the Hulk, or this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's broken out.
And it's also, I mean, that goes. It's the whole messed up thing of distribution in this system. Mm-hmm. And I think right now, I think the studios are scared. I think the studios see Netflix putting $8 billion, and they're like, we can't do that. So I think that is the future. This sort of straight to the person, data driven, all that. It's going that way, and I think Disney sees it, and Disney's doing it. And the other ones need to start partnering up and doing that as well. And I think it probably will happen because they'll be the ones creating the content, as it were, and then you have all these other people doing the distribution.
It's a good point. What do you see in terms of, one of the things that I found interesting is just looking at visual trends lately is, This is Horst typing. Whatever message you get is probably from Horst.
Can't type.
No, monkey packs, trust me.
Yeah, big fat
I don't know
fingers.
what it is you're commenting on, but I can't wait to see.
Oh boy. And this is how the channel went from some subs to no subs. But the other thing that I noticed,
we probably just gained like 6,000
from camera side, and I'd be curious from actor, and you work on both sides of the camera, but the one thing I've noticed is a lot more shadow play coming back. So instead of it being like those overly lit kind of bright shots, we've started to see a little more shadow play, like hard shadows.
Not some of my thing.
Right. Yep. Not quite as hardcore as Clint Eastwood's type stuff, where it's like a 90 shadow, like it's hard to play. But I've started to see the darkness coming back, which is cool to see that separation moving away from the traditional lit docu-style format.
Right.
I like seeing us coming back in. I mean, have you seen that on some of the stuff you've worked on both sides of the lens?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, negative fill.
Negative fill becoming a big trend.
Yeah, huge. And that's the thing is that it's
love having you back.
It goes. I don't know what. Somebody just got smoked. I can feel it. But yeah, working that other side of the negative fill is that it's cinematographers understand that you're painting with light.
Right.
And so if you are the guy that's just worried about getting the cool LED lights and you're wanting to use everything that you've got, you don't have the artistry that it takes to light a documentary with one light.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so you like Horst said, you're making it more about we can build a 400-foot LED panel that
you're
weighs
becoming
10
Peter
pounds.
Jackson.
Yeah. Exactly.
Can I say that? Can I say you're becoming Peter Jackson?
Netflix, give me money. We'll never get it for Peter Jackson now.
I just want a little bobblehead horse.
We need a new button. I need to get a custom. I need a custom button.
You can touch the button.
Yeah.
You need to move the button. But no, but that's what it's the same thing that we've talked about, is that everybody is just hung up on the gear and they're not even caring about the story.
Right.
And I've been on a couple of those sides where it's like, my job as an actor is to just do what I'm told. And I look and I see like 9 lights getting brought off a grip truck that aren't even freaking used.
Right.
And like, you got grip guys breaking their back to unload all of this equipment when it's like, literally, I need a sun gun and 1 bounce.
Yeah.
But I'm the talent, and I can't tell the director to do that.
Yeah.
You know.
And the other thing we can't forget about, we live, and I don't mean like, you know, politics, who you vote for. I mean in like interpersonal politics.
Yeah.
Film is hugely political, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes we may see a much better solution, but the producers and the directors know they have to do that because of that makes this person feel good, and that person won't act if they don't feel good. And they, I mean, so it's a very complicated thing. But yeah, I mean, this push towards cooler, better, faster, neater. You know, how many frames per second? You like that? I saw that on the board.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
segue in.
He
Yeah, that's
segued
great.
into it for us.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so frames per second wise.
Notice how he just pulls into the traffic and then lets go of the wheel.
Yeah.
He's like,
He actually just jumps to the back seat. Yeah, go! So speaking of that, let's talk about. So that's just some of our ideas of 2018. If you have any thoughts, comments, suggestions, obviously the comments are up here in the Chatsky box. If not, throw them in the comments, links below. Let's have a conversation. These guys, I'll get them to answer your questions if you have them. I will seek them out, make it happen. May not be with video, may have to
probably
do
be
text.
while we're on the toilet.
Yeah, they're going to be on the toilet, and it'll happen.
And we'll hear them flash
throw them
up
down
on
there.
board.
That said, let's talk about 48 frames per second and why that's so important to me and Jeff. And that video will
Because you
drop.
love shooting in slow motion.
That is true.
I thought it was
And that
29
video will
He
drop.
does.
That video will drop this afternoon at some point.
confusing him.
48 frames. Why? Because it's a perfect split of 24.
29 frames.
As simple as it sounds, that's the honest to God truth. 48 is double 24. So what happens is, when in terms of shooting footage and making a
don't
creamy
agree with you.
effect, no, it's 100% fact.
No.
It's science.
No.
No, don't hit the button.
Hit the button.
Don't
I
do
don't
it.
agree.
This is why we don't have guests on the show. It's about me, folks. And now it's no longer about me.
But isn't it like 24.98 or something?
47. 23.9.
97, 47.95. But 48 is 48.
Or is it?
No, it's
24
not.
is
And I will
24.
show you as I put my rumpus towards the lens, like some delicious
Your rumpus is
pork.
not towards the lens. It's actually towards the same.
Shot for a really big carpet manufacturer, and they wanted sort of this dreamy sort of vibe to it. And so what we did to do that was we sat down and kind of made sure that we could throw it up on a gimbal and shoot these kind of spatially orienting shots where it's about the environment. We wanted the camera to kind of float through. The creative director wanted the camera to kind of float through that space and be kind of dreamy. Like waking up on a Sunday morning was the vibe that they were after. And so in order to accomplish that, we decided to use 48, knowing that if we did need to retime for any reason, we would have the ability to do stuff like this, which is retime these shots. So here's the before, here's the actual image itself, and you can see it's a pretty frame, gorgeously lit, very natural, airy lighting. It was just a nice kind of flow to it. We wanted to have that Pottery Barn feel. But then you can see that shot takes forever. So as a shot alone, it looks great. But in the context of the video, it was a little slow. So we were able to then do that exact same shot at 48 frames per second and suddenly draw it in. So then when we wanted moments to draw attention or to slow the piece down, we had the ability to do that accordingly by simply just going back to the 48. And it just gave us a sort of vibe that we... Okay, so there we go with 48 frames per second.
Whoa. Come on, lead it.
That's how we do it. No, there's no lead.
You just did a Horst. You just like, what?
Yeah.
We're back.
Yeah,
Let go of the wheel.
That's how we let go of the wheel. So again, talking about 48 frames per second. So in the footage that we were showing, that's some content we produced for a pretty big carpet manufacturer. And in that space, what we wanted to kind of address or look at in the discussion, and it's more in depth in the video, is why we pitch 48 frames per second when we're going into lifestyle type content, where we're doing commercial pieces. And part of that reason is twofold. One, I'm not playing it back at 48, which we're going to get to you because you dealt with it. I'm not going to play it back at 48 frames per second, but instead I'm going to modify it, play it back at 24, and suddenly have a little bit of a slow-mo that's just, it's not quite as heavy as 60. It's obviously not anything like 90. But it has just enough cadence to make it feel dreamy and kind of wander about. And part of that gets to be important when you are diving into commercial land, as we've learned. When we want to retime something, I don't have to spend a tremendous amount of time to get the project up to speed of where it needs to be. I can tweak a few things with a couple of slow-mo shots and make it work, and it still feels right when it jumps between real time and post time.
Yeah.
Is kind of how we approached it. Now, some of you guys that are very, very tech savvy are questioning like playback at 48. So understand, I'm talking about something different. That guy worked on The Hobbit, and The Hobbit was shot 48 frames per second. It was his favorite project he's ever done, and he loved all of the easiness to it. It was
stereo.
so easy.
It was stereo.
And it was stereo.
Yeah.
So the 48 playback didn't work. It didn't work. Nobody bought into it, right? I mean, did you see a 48 playback? I guess you had to, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had a. I mean, yeah, okay. So
this is from The Hobbit. Just
the theme for me, I guess, is like I said. There's always an effect. There's always something that happens later, right? So if you're doing these 48 frame per second commercials and it's great, it looks good, it has that aesthetic you want, but now you've realized, oh no, we got Henry Cavill, Mr. Jeff Worley here, and we need to erase his beard. We need to erase his beard for the commercial.
This sounds like a real story.
It does.
Are you not familiar?
Not familiar?
No.
With Justice League?
Oh, his mustache.
Yeah. So
What did that cost them?
Oh, millions. I mean, it was crazy expensive. And it didn't look
good. A good movie.
And they didn't have the time. Right?
And you might be able to answer this question. It might be what you're going. Was that a political play? Because it seems to me like I could have figured out a much cheaper solution than $200 million to get the mustache taken care of.
I mean, it's like I said, there's always politics. I mean, my understanding, and I don't work for any of them. Netflix give me money, I would work for you.
He's sticking to it.
It's $800 billion. No, $80 billion, whatever it was. Some crazy. Yeah. I'm at $800 trillion.
Yeah, I like the number keeps going.
I just sold this for one.
Yeah.
Like $1 million Netflix, I'll shave.
Yeah. No, what it was, he was doing a different film.
Give me some money.
There you go.
Cavill was doing a different film in which he had a mustache, and the two studios worked out a deal where he could come work on this film, but he couldn't shave the mustache.
It was for reshoots, though.
Yeah,
right.
In fairness.
Yeah.
It was for reshoots.
Yeah.
Right.
But he couldn't shave the mustache.
Right.
I'm not sure we'll deal with it, but then, I mean, it's one of those things of when you give a release date, you give a release date.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing, is that had you not hardlined yourself into a release date, you wouldn't have had to pay X amount of dollars.
Yeah, but they do it now. They do it years ahead of time because somebody's going to grab that release date.
Right.
Oh no, Star Wars 27 has grabbed this release date. Nobody else can go.
To Drew's thing of what big tentpole movie things you're going to go to.
Westerns.
It's a workflow.
Yeah.
From straight prep to post, it's a complete workflow.
But you're saying about 48.
My point about 48 was you're getting rid of Jeff's beard. Now, instead of erasing in 24 frames every second, you're getting rid of 48
Sarah hadn't jumped through the door yet.
So you're doubling the amount of work. You're doubling the amount of time, potentially. If you're shooting in stereo, now it's 48 frames in two different cameras that you're rotoscoping the beard out for.
So essentially you're
and your data. Now you've got to have that much more storage.
Which is crazy.
Right?
I don't even know.
I don't either.
Like the throughput, if you think about forced perspective stereo of some of those scenes that you guys did at 48 frames, that's 96 times 96, or 96 plus 96, and then the data throughput on two different cameras that didn't have to match perfectly.
Yeah.
That's why it never took off. Like, if anyone had a question, and just as you said, the VFX alone, it's hard. It's so cost prohibitive. The only catch is, and this is just my opinion, The Hobbit, aside from what's his face, the English guy, who's the guy, Martin Freeman. Aside from him, nobody else in those films, because Benedict was a voice.
He's a voice.
Nobody else in those films was a notable actor.
Yeah, I didn't say that, Sir Ian McKellen. I didn't say that. He did.
Except for Ian McKellen.
I was trying to figure out what Hobbit he watched.
Yeah,
because I'm going.
I'll be honest. I told him this. I couldn't watch The Hobbit.
Sorry, I didn't.
I watched The Hobbit all the way through. 48 frames.
Sometimes it was beautiful. Mr. Jackson was beautiful. Sir Jackson.
Well, while you're working with Peter Jackson, I'll be doing stuff with Netflix. We can give us some money, and I'll be in that space. So we just get to do whatever we want.
I just want to do an entire jump cut of all of us saying, Netflix, would you give us some money?
I just said the Horst actually looked at the camera and
said, should I start?
People need salads.
Well, they do. But see, I can see that little camera, the Cyclops lens of the camera, and think Netflix.
There you go. I get that.
Because it's always watching.
It is
always watching. I will tell you some very weird Big Brother stuff. Like a friend of mine, we were riding down the highway and we had a conversation about a movie that, oh yeah, we've been loving to watch that, whatnot. I swear to you, within 10 minutes, we arrived at my house, I turned on Netflix, and that was the preview that was clicking.
No, that's your phone.
But you know what I'm saying? I'm just kind of
going, bro. They're listening to it. They listen to all that stuff. Come on, man. I have 7 tinfoil hats.
No, you really need.
We do not.
You need a prop.
We do not.
You absolutely need a tinfoil.
I have got a flat wrap probably to do
because it works. It keeps the brain.
It keeps the brain waves in. All right, so there, 48. If you want to watch the whole video, it'll be dropped immediately after this. It's way tech heavy. It goes into a lot of detail and talks about 48. Wow. So there's somebody from The Hobbit that says 48 is garbage and that Peter Jackson is a jerk. And then,
well, no, I did not say any of that, Mr. Sir.
But you didn't like 48 frames per second.
No, all I'm saying...
It's not practical.
It could be, right? It absolutely depends. This goes back to storytelling. This is what I'm talking about. It's a tool.
Yeah.
Everything. You're a tool. It's a tool.
No.
It depends on what you're trying to get and if it makes sense for that, right? So, in my opinion, when I look at high frame rates shot a certain way, it would work really well for like cinema verite. Like, I think that would work really well if we're doing like a live action. This feels like the real world. I don't think it worked well for The Hobbit because something about that smeary 24 frames helps me into that dream world. But you started the show with cinema language, film language. So I'll knock onto that.
Segue us right in.
Yeah, right in. I'll let go of the wheel now. No, I think some of that has to do with film language. And what I mean by film language, for anybody who might not know what I mean, is how we look at a movie, understand and read a movie. So if we're watching a horror film and suddenly there's negative space here, we're going to expect the monster to pop out. If we're watching a drama and the heroes just save the person and the camera starts craning up and the music starts to swell, we'll expect the credits to roll soon, right? There's a language that we've developed over time that we understand.
Right.
And I think that there's generational differences. I think our generation is sort of the MTV generation. We saw a little bit of before that, but we got into like this, to elliptical editing. We got into just the faster cutting, fancier dialogue. Whereas like our parents would, oh, this is I can't keep up. It's too crazy. And I think 24. Sorry, flushing.
You get used to it after a while.
You do.
Yeah. I think the 24, 48 frames per second is also part of that film language thing. I think there's a younger generation that like loves video games all the time, higher frame rates, go faster, 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 and high frame rates work for them. And it doesn't necessarily work for me in a lot of cases. I think digital cinematography works for them. When the camera, like I remember Planet of the Apes, it totally pulled me out, but I talked to a friend of mine who was a lot younger. He loved this shot. The camera flew, the big redwood tree, spun around the redwood tree, came up to the top, pan, and there you saw San Francisco, the difference, and then in the distance. And I'm like, oh, that totally pulled me out because there'd never be a camera that could do that. I felt like I was watching a video game. And the guy was like, that was such an awesome shot. And
but that's a moment.
Right.
It goes back to my point about moments.
Right.
But for me, that's also an aesthetic like language thing.
Yeah, totally right.
And my point about the 48, 24 is if you know what you're trying to say and you feel like you can connect to your audience, that might be the right tool to use, cost prohibitive or not.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think a lot of the stuff that we talk about comes down to that. So it's a matter of knowing what you're doing, knowing the craft, and how to use your tool. So you have to know how to use your tool. You have to know your pipeline. You have to know the camera. And if that camera is the tool you need to tell your story, then get that camera. Right. But if you're just getting that camera to get that camera, then I think you're looking at the wrong kind of side of things.
I understand your point on that.
To take it to an even more baseline thing, there was a time where films didn't even have dialogue.
Yeah.
And those were amazing. People just watch silent films, and that's what I was talking about. Is like I would like to go back to a film that had less dialogue and let the audience.
Once Upon a Time in the West.
Right.
But, come on, man. That's gold. Cinema gold.
It's cinema gold for us, but I can guarantee that anyone that's below the age of 25.
Well, I don't know about that, but I think there is a certain generation that doesn't appreciate. Dawson, believe it or not, has a taste for.
Who's Dawson? There's nobody over there. Could you point at?
Dawson sits over there.
He's our intern.
We have an intern.
Actually,
but he's not there. Why
he's an apprentice because that's the only place he's allowed to exist in my mind.
Okay, gotcha.
He's not allowed to be on the live shows.
This is Dawson's.
We do him on Tuesdays because he doesn't come in. Yeah. That's Dawson's Corner, and his name is actually. I don't even know his.
David.
Is that it?
David Thor.
His name is David Thor. Yeah, but we call him Dawson because he wants to be a filmmaker and he's a hipster. I mean that's just true though. Yeah, he's Dawson's Creek.
You're a hipster. You know that, right?
No, how am I a hipster?
Have you seen what you're wearing, Han Solo?
Do you
Point well taken.
Do you like
that said, we're going to take a quick break with this little spot. Here's a 680p.
Sasquatch's #1 predator is the draconians. What's a draconian?
That's, lizard people. Let me see.
We're going on an expedition to find Sasquatch. No big deal.
You get that pack on, then I'll get up.
Dad, these were Todd's friends. Nigel. And his brother something.
Have you seen like an 8-foot Sasquatch?
Not today.
Well, look harder.
Well, well, well.
Klaus! We have to hatch a new plan.
Maybe we should team up with Klaus.
I'd rather kiss Cthulhu. Does the Sasquatch pants do?
Can I borrow that?
Sure. Sure you don't want any face camo? You're gonna stick out like a sore thumb.
I'm good. You're gonna shoot Bigfoot?
We're gonna tranquilize Sasquatch.
You can hit it from that distance?
No, I'm good. But I'm willing to bet Samson can. I gotta get a better view of the landscape. Try and spot the best route.
You're just wasting time.
Gymkhana!
And base.
How
low can you go?
Death row. What a brother knows. Once again.
Yeah, you
Matt
know all the
is
words.
the incredible.
I don't know past that.
Rhyme animal.
Yeah.
The uncannibal.
So, quick story.
Public enemy.
Horst's wife,
5-0.
the ever delightful
Said
Kiwi
freeze.
Kate. So Wawee,
Can I tell
these
him
are
that
the
I
people
never had a
from
gun?
Wawee.
But it's the wax
Wawee.
that
Yeah, our buddy Wawee, is he here?
I haven't
He
seen
lives in
him all
Wellington.
day.
Now they got me in a cell.
He lives in Wellington.
Because my records they sell.
Yeah, he knows all the words.
Because a brother like me says well.
Anthrax,
And Public
Farrakhan
and Public
is a
Enemy.
brother that I think you ought to listen to. What
His
did it say
wife,
to you?
anytime you hear the phrase bass,
What you wanna do.
anytime anyone says the word bass,
Bass.
which was
All
just
over
said,
How are the people?
it breaks out into this.
Make
This is
clear.
what we have to deal with on a daily basis. That's how
Pump
it
the
works.
lyrical.
Yeah.
Black is back.
Okay!
Fall in. We're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
win.
Usman's not here either. No
Yeah,
Vikings.
no Vikings today.
Check it out. Here we go again.
Okay.
Well, you know the other great spot is that I was
Bring the
told
noise.
about.
Okay, I'm done.
I was told about the alphabet song that somebody else that Horst knows.
No, I don't.
No, you don't know it.
No.
She knows it.
My wife knows the
She
Black
knows
Delicious.
Blackalicious?
Yeah,
No joke.
Mhm.
he got her to do that for me one day.
She can
Oh,
do it?
Yeah, she did the whole freaking thing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
It's
incredible.
amazing.
Yeah, she's good at it.
Yeah,
That's what she said?
Mhm.
that is what she said.
All right, well, these
That's
guys
what
have
he
to
said.
go because, frankly, I'm
What?
tired of having them in my office.
Yeah, we
and,
don't actually have to go. He's just
No,
kidding.
no, I'm just kicking them
I
straight
was
out.
looking at the mic that time. I was looking at your board to see if we missed
Yeah,
anything.
no, I
but it
understand.
kind of felt like I was looking at the mic.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Little eyeline adjustment. You know, sometimes, like, if you're looking through,
Yeah.
you've got to look just a little more through.
And who's that? That's
Who?
Netflix. We need money.
Yeah.
Give us money now. It's gotten
So,
threatening now.
that was a trailer for Nigel and Oscar versus... Nope. God! For the film they retitled Suddenly. It's now called Sasquatch. If you have a chance, check it out.
Same
Pretty
day
funny. His
for
wife
the-
is in it.
Same day.
She takes her
Did
top
it.
off. True story.
Did we do the? That's what she.
Are you
said?
supposed to say?
I don't have it.
hyphen?
That's what she said.
Okay, that's fine.
Are you supposed to say the hyphen?
Pronounce
Is it
that?
like is it supposed to be sass?
Like you say
hyphen
underscore, you know,
watch?
when you say like.
No,
zero
because I don't.
underscore.
I'd be if I
No,
said Sasquatch to you, you'd be like SASK watch. What? And,
Yeah.
like I don't effing know.
Like
Is it a dash or is it an underscore?
It's an underscore.
Then say underscore.
No, it's a dash.
It's a dash.
That
It's
could be
not an
mine.
underscore,
Which
it's
one
a
is it?
dash.
There's
It's
a
a
underscore
dash.
is a drunk.
It's
Are
a
you
dash.
saying
But look-
Pam or Pan?
If it was 48
Same
frames a
hand.
second, changing the hyphen to an underscore would be really expensive.
No, it'd be a
That's
really
all I'm
long
saying.
hyphen.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's gonna do it because I'm done talking to these guys. But first, Barbara, somebody named Barbara.
Barbara.
Yeah.
It's
Where
the
is it?
second. The first.
Barbara
R is-
Walker asked, "When will she die?" And so I just